Just doing my job.
No, you're not doing your job. You're fucking picking this fucking Corvette out for no reason.
Well, believe it, because I'm not joking.
For no reason. Fucking with me for no reason.
A man at the top of the fighting world, unbeatable, unstoppable, until it all started to crumble. Jon Jones wasn't just known for his skill in the octagon, his life outside of it became a series of shocking twists and turns that nobody saw coming. How does someone go from the heights of being a champion to the depths of controversy? What happened to the fighter everyone once admired? Stay tuned, because the real story behind Jon Jones' darkest moments will keep you on the edge of your seat. Jon Jones wasn't just any fighter, he was someone who completely changed the game in the UFC. His journey started with massive promise. By the time he entered the UFC in 2008, people were already talking about him as a future legend. And he didn't disappoint. Fight after fight, Jon's skills were just on another level, like he was playing a different sport. By 2011, he became the youngest champion in UFC history, just 23 years old. But, as we'll see, with that fame and power came a lot of trouble, and for Jon, his battles outside the octagon became as intense as the ones inside it. First signs of trouble: the 2012 DUI incident. Jon's rise was quick, but so was his first big fall. In 2012, while he was still at the top, he got into a serious car accident. Driving his Bentley, Jon crashed into a pole, and it wasn't just an accident, it was a DUI. The police arrested him, and this was the first time fans saw a darker side of Jon Jones. The media went crazy, and everyone started asking, how could a champion with so much going for him take such a risk? Jon apologized, promising he'd learn from it, and he kept training. But for those paying attention, this incident raised a big question: was Jon really in control of his life outside the cage? Or was fame already starting to get to him? The pressure builds, banned substances, and the first stripped title. Fast forward to 2015, and things take an even darker turn. Just as Jon was preparing for one of the biggest fights of his career, shocking news hit: Jon Jones had tested positive for banned substances. For the UFC and its fans, this was a huge deal. For a champion to test positive, it was more than just a scandal, it was a betrayal. People who looked up to him felt let down, and his haters felt validated. The UFC stripped Jon of his title, sending a clear message that this behavior wouldn't be tolerated. Jon went from the peak of his career to losing everything in an instant. Fans hoped he'd take this as a wake-up call, but they didn't know yet just how much darker things would get. A new low: the 2015 hit-and-run incident. If the DUI and banned substances weren't enough, Jon's next incident left people shocked and disappointed.
I was going on the green light, going that way, and he was running the red light. I remember seeing him, and he kept going. He just hit.
In 2015, Jon was involved in a hit and run. Reports say he ran a red light, crashed into another car, and then without stopping to help, he left the scene. The twist? The driver he hit was a pregnant woman. This wasn't just a mistake, it was seen as an act of complete disregard. When the police searched his abandoned car, they found marijuana and a pipe inside. For the UFC, this was too much to ignore. They suspended him indefinitely, making it clear that Jon's actions outside the octagon had real consequences. For fans, it was a heartbreaking moment. This wasn't the Jon Jones they thought they knew. A second chance and a major rivalry. After the hit and run, Jon spent some time reflecting, or at least that's what fans hoped. In 2016, he was allowed to return to the UFC, and it seemed like he was finally ready to put the past behind him. His focus was on one thing: reclaiming his title. And that's where his intense rivalry with Daniel Cormier began. This rivalry was more than just a fight, it was personal. Both men genuinely disliked each other, and their battles were fierce. When Jon managed to beat Cormier, it was supposed to be his redemption. But just as fans were starting to believe in him again, another scandal hit. Jon failed a drug test for the second time, and the victory over Cormier was overturned. The UFC stripped him of his title once again. By now, fans were feeling a strange mix of disappointment and frustration. Why couldn't Jon stay out of trouble? Caught in a cycle: another drug test, another suspension. If anyone thought Jon's troubles were over, 2017 proved them wrong. This time, he tested positive for turinabol, a banned steroid. Once again, the UFC had no choice, they suspended him, leaving fans disheartened. By now, people were beginning to wonder if Jon would ever learn. How could someone with so much talent, someone who had already been given multiple chances, keep making the same mistakes? Jon's explanation didn't satisfy many people. He blamed it on a tainted supplement, but not everyone was convinced. To them, it felt like just another excuse in a long line of excuses. More legal issues, run-ins with law enforcement. As if his problems with the UFC weren't enough, Jon kept getting into trouble with the law. In 2020, Jon was arrested yet again for driving under the influence. But this time, things were even worse. Police found a gun in his car. For fans, this was a breaking point. Each time they thought Jon was ready to turn his life around, something happened to remind them that he hadn't changed. It was like he was trapped in a cycle, unable or unwilling to break free. And with each incident, his reputation took another hit. What could have been a story of redemption and resilience was turning into a tale of repeated mistakes. A new chapter of the heavyweight division and a fresh start? Despite everything, Jon wasn't done yet. In 2021, he made a surprising announcement he was moving up to the heavyweight division. For fans, this felt like the start of something new. Maybe this new challenge would help Jon find focus and stability. He spoke openly about his mistakes and seemed ready to make real changes. He even spent time reflecting on his past, admitting that he had let down his fans and himself. But the question remained, could Jon really escape his past? Or would the same problems keep haunting him? Looking ahead, can Jon Jones rewrite his legacy? Now, Jon Jones is preparing for his first big fight as a heavyweight, and fans are split. Some believe he still has what it takes to reclaim his status as one of the best fighters in the world. Others feel he's too far gone, that the repeated mistakes have permanently damaged his legacy. It's a hard reality. Jon Jones is still one of the most skilled fighters the UFC has ever seen, but his actions outside the ring have overshadowed much of his talent. His story isn't over, but whether it will be one of redemption or continued chaos is anyone's guess. Jon's journey is a powerful reminder that talent and fame aren't enough. They can bring a person to incredible heights, but they can't shield them from their own choices. For some, Jon Jones will always be a hero, a fighter who changed the sport. For others, he's a tragic figure, a champion who couldn't stay out of his own way. Jon Jones' story is one of extreme highs and devastating lows. He's shown the world what it means to be a champion, but he's also shown us the cost of failing to control personal demons. The question is, as he steps into the heavyweight division, will Jon Jones finally prove his doubters wrong? Or will his past catch up to him once again? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: Jon Jones' journey is far from ordinary, and people will be watching every step of the way. If Jon's story kept you hooked, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold moments of sports legends. Let us know in the comments, do you think Jon can turn it around? Or are his darkest moments here to stay? Stay tuned for more stories that go beyond the headlines.
I hate you. No. I hate you. No, please don't. Car. I'm the other officers. I hate you.